Hello, welcome. This is Maniac Tim with Maniac Sports. I'm waiting for Jeremy to join me pretty soon here. Uh, well, one of the things I want to do is wish a happy birthday to Barry Sanders. He turns 54 today, I think it is. Okay, well, while we're waiting for Jeremy, um, just wanted to thank everybody for joining my stream. And basically, I'm going to be interviewing Jeremy on his thoughts on how the Lions are going to do this year and his channel and becoming a podcaster. So I hope everybody's doing good. I hope I don't seem too nervous. uh, but welcome to the show. Let me put up the chat. If you have any comments, unfortunately, I can't see things in Facebook yet. So, if you have any comments, please subscribe to my channel at on YouTube. Wow. Well, looking forward to training camp coming along in a couple weeks. We're going to see. I'm hoping to get down there a few times this year. It is a long drive for me, and I gotta get the time off from work. But I'm going to put in for a couple of days, and if they grant it, I will go to training camp this, a couple of days this year, uh, and hopefully get to hang out with some of the people from Lions Nation Unite and meet some of the players and see where it goes from here. From there. This is my first time having a guest, so if I do anything wrong, please forgive me. But this is Maniac Tim with Maniac Sports. I'm looking forward to this season. I'm looking forward to seeing the way the offense works with Jared Goff and his new receiving crew. Uh, Hopefully, Jameson Williams can get there a lot sooner than what we. Hopefully, he's not out for 4 games, but I want to see him. I want to see him ball out. I want to see him really perform this year. I want to see the Lions perform. I want to see a 10-win season. That's what I want to see. 10 or better. I know it's a lot to ask, but I aim high, as I say. I aim high to really. My expectation for the Lions is to be a 10 or win season, 10 or game win season almost every year. They have had a few 9-7 seasons. The best season that I have ever seen them play was 12-4. Of course, that was the 1991 season when they had to run and shoot, and way back when you had Barry Sanders. I think there was also a couple, or there was at least a 10-win season when you had Matthew Stafford, back when you had Jim Schwartz as coach. Then, of course, we had a couple 9-7 seasons. But I really want to see a consistent 10-year or 10-game season year after year, 10-win seasons. Then that just proves that they uh, they're improving. They're being serious. Uh, oh well. There's a lot going on this off season. Uh, the Lions are rebuilding. I wish they had more salary cap room so they could bring in more players. But this build is being built right. We're seeing the foundation of the Lions growing. We're seeing the offensive line that has been in place for last year, but we got some healthier players. And Taylor Decker is going to be there hopefully the full year this time. Uh, you also have Panesu, which shoot his second year. He done really great last year, for being his for being able to take up the slack when Taylor Decker went out and was injured. Frank Ragnow is definitely the best center, one of the best centers that we have ever had on the Detroit Lions. So, oh, but the Detroit Lions are a team that's been, if it, well, if you're a Lions fan, you know all the bumps and bruises that the Lions have taken. And to be a fan of the Detroit Lions, you got to have some heart and you got to have some drive. Uh, and you got to have some nerves of steel because, hey, the Lions have really did a lot of disappointing to people over the years. But I think this year, and with the ownership of Sheila Hemp, which went ahead and took the Firestone out of her name, and also the fort out of her name, and to go ahead and take that away um, from the forts out of it, because the forts have really not produced, and they've gotten they have kind of gotten a black eye because they have not really turned this team around. Now, in one of the statements we have seen where um, Sheila has was really, I think, uh, when she fired Matt Patricia, I think she was kind of embarrassed with the way the Lions looked during preseason or during the season and the history of the Lions. So I really think that she really wants to improve this team and give the fans what they want. And of course, the fans want a contender. They want a contender to first make the playoffs, second, win the NFC North, and eventually get to that Super Bowl. Um, and they're turning around the culture. Now, the strongest thing in your offense and also on your defense needs to be your line. Because, hey, just remember, New Orleans found out how it was when those levees broke and New Orleans was flooded. So if you have, picture the offensive line as being the levees for Jared Goff and also for opening up those lanes for our running backs, um, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, and company. Uh, look at look at the offensive line going ahead and opening up and also protecting Jared Goff. So if you have that strong foundation, then you're going to be able to create plays. And that's one thing that Matthew Stafford never really had was that strong offensive line. Now I know I'm not teaching, a lot of I'm not really teaching anything because people who know football uh knows that you live and die with your offense and your defensive line. Now, of course, your defensive line needs to be strong too because it needs to keep, you know, it needs to put pressure on the quarterback. It needs to they need to sack the quarterback. You need to uh stop the running game. You need to close those lanes. So now we have not had as much work on the defensive end of the ball, on building that line. But this year we do have Aiden Hutchinson, which is going to really bring up that defensive line, and I think he's going to help put pressure on that quarterback of the opposite team, whoever it may be, and hopefully he'll be able to get a few sacks from against Aaron Rodgers. I want to see him go ahead and drive that guy into the ground, believe me, because hey, I'm definitely not a Green Bay fan. Anybody who knows me uh, knows that I'm Lions fan all throughout and through, and I'm 100% Detroit Lions fan. So anybody that knows me knows that Maniac Tim is Detroit Lions fan, and that's why you have all this Lions stuff behind me. There's a couple other things, but as far as Green Bay, hey, I want to see them go down. I want to see Green Bay. I want us to take Green Bay out of the Central Division lead from that top and put them to the bottom. And I want to see the Lions do that when Aaron Rodgers is here. Because I'm like what Ric Flair says, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And I want to beat the best at their best. And this is what the Maniac wants. The Maniac wants the Detroit Lions to go ahead and shove the football down their opponent's throat. 100% just go ahead and take control of their ball games. I want them to do what it takes and just do it. Bring on the pain, bring on the hurt. This is what Maniac Tim wants, and this is what Maniac Tim expects. And yes, I'm talking in the third person because, hey, I'm getting riled up. And I don't think it's too much to ask for a second-year coach to go ahead and it's building a program like what they're building right now to have 10 wins. Yeah, sure. We only had 3 wins last year, and even 4 wins would be an improvement. But just being an improvement doesn't matter, and it doesn't mean a lot. I mean, the Lions have had those mediocre seasons before. And to me, 9 wins, I mean, we have had 9-7 before. I want to see a consistent 10 win. I want to see seasons of consistent 10 wins. I want to see the Lions go ahead and do what they did in 1991. I want to see the Lions go and even if it's not this year, but I want to see the Lions go ahead and beat that 12-4 record. You got one more game to get those 12 wins than you had before in 1991. So, in order to beat that 12-4 record, you need to get, of course, 13-4. And that's with one more game. I want these Lions to be the best Lions that there is. And I want moving forward to them to be for them to be a consistent team, because that's one thing that the Lions have not had is consistency. And we have had all the fancy players. We have had everything but consistency. So we need consistency in order to get up there and be one of those top teams and to be the top team in the NFC North. I want the Lions to be the team to beat. I want Detroit to be the team to beat. I want them to quit being the kitty cats and be what they're named, the Detroit Lions, the king of the jungle. That's what I want. And that's what I expect to see, is them being the king of the jungle, taking a bite out of the NFC North, taking a bite out of those Chicago Bears, taking a bite out of the Minnesota Vikings, going ahead and taking charge and showing that they are the boss and not going ahead and being the NFL's whipping boy, to be the one doing the whipping. You guys feeling me? You guys feeling what I'm saying? Because hey, I'm sick of losing. And I'm sick of the Lions. You know, I'm sick of the Lions being called trash. Okay? Because they're not trash. Sometimes they play like trash, but they are not trash. And so 18 minutes. I do gotta apologize. I'm very new at using StreamYard, so if it's that I can't see Jeremy, I don't know if it's me or him. Uh, I don't see him in the chat and stuff, or not in the chat, but if anybody can help me out as far as in adding him or whatever, I'm just really, I don't know. He could even be having internet connection problems too. I know that has happened before. But I just want to see the Detroit Lions be that team to beat. And I think that Brad Holmes can do it. Now, Jared Goff, there's been a lot of talk about, my friend, I know he never liked Jared Goff. Jim Bordeaux didn't like Jared Goff. Because he didn't see where he could produce. And, of course, I can't speak for him at all. But in watching the games with him and stuff like that, when we watched the games together and that, Jared Goff did better at the end of the year. All right. But at the beginning of the year, he sucked. Let's just face it. But this team needs to make this team his. All right. Last year, he did not have a lot of talent around him. Now, the jury, in my eyes, is still out. And I'm not putting down Jared Goff. Believe me, I'm for him. I want to see him win. I want to see him have the best season, not only stat wise, but win wise of his career with the Lions. If it's not this year, next year, I want to see the improvements that Ben Johnson makes. But there's a thing that he needs to clear up, and he needs to show that he can win, that he can manage this team when you give him the weapons. Now, when he had the weapons, and he did not do it alone, all right, he was able to make the Super Bowl. But eventually, and this is in everybody's mind, all right, this is in it. Eventually, he ended up being traded for Matthew Stafford because LA gave up on him. And they seen that Matthew Stafford could go ahead and take him to that next level. Hence, Matthew Stafford goes ahead and leads the Rams to the Super Bowl his first year with them. And also in a close Super Bowl, they won the Super Bowl. But saying that, Matthew Stafford was not able to take the Lions to even a playoff win. I am not blaming Matthew Stafford at all for it because I know the Lions had a lot of problems. They did not build a team right. All right. Hey, let's add Jeremy.
Hello there.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome, Jeremy.
You went hour a little early. We talked about noon. It's 11 o'clock.
Oh, I said 11. I'm sorry.
Oh,
We
you
got
changed it. You changed it.
no.
Okay.
I thought it always was 11. I'm sorry.
No, the last message I had from you the other day was noon, and then I didn't get one until you went at
Okay.
you gave me the link at 6:30 in the morning. I was in bed. It's
Yeah.
my
Well,
only day off. I was sleeping.
uh, okay. It's my bad. I'm really sorry, man.
That's
I'm really
okay.
sorry. This is my first. But I
Still learning.
apologize.
I
It
got
was
you.
my fault. Yeah. So
That's okay.
welcome, Jeremy. Yeah. Hey,
Welcome.
I love that shirt.
Yeah, just
I
picked it
love
up
that shirt.
last night, and I got another one that says Detroit football.
Oh wow! And you know what? Uh, as far as the award for um, the podcast being a maniac podcast,
I love it.
there's no other name rather than the kneecap biting that would be more maniac-y than that. I mean,
I I fell in love the first interview. What
oh
can I
yeah.
say?
So, okay. So, go ahead and tell us a lot more about your show and your fan. How you became a Lions fan.
Okay, well, my show is Kneecap Biting with Smoking Jeremy B. As you can see, the cigarette's in my hand. I'm smoking Jeremy B. Uh, the nickname was coined by Curtis Steele on Detroit Lions on the Prowl, and I ran with it. He may have had a little help from a viewer named John Robinson, so I'll give him his credit too.
Mhm.
That being said, I've always loved the Lions. I've always loved talking football. And I finally worked up the nerve to be a part of a podcast as a guest. And the next thing you know, I was a regular on another one, which was We Are Lions Nation
Mhm.
Unite. We Are Lions Nation last year.
Right.
And at the end of the year, I was like, you know what? I could do this on my own.
And hey, you know what? I mean, it really astonished me the knowledge that I see and professionalism that I see that you put in
Thank you.
because I mean, you know your crap. You do. You know your
Well,
crap.
when I really became invested in the Lions, I think it was around 1984, that year that we went to the playoffs and lost to San Francisco because Eddie
Mhm.
Murray shanked a 35-yard chip shot. But we won't go there. But
Uh-huh. Yeah.
which was technically the start of the whole Joe Montana run.
Right.
Because 84, 85, and then Bears beat them. And I think
Mhm.
we could have beat the Bears that year.
Oh yeah.
Just saying.
Mhm.
Billy Sims was electric.
Yeah, he was.
And going forward, I just started compiling stats, and I used to have notebook after notebook, and it got to a point where I finally just sort of remember a lot of it.
But your voice. I mean, you actually even got the voice for it because I mean, you got it's like a radio personality voice. It's I mean the
You're
way
not
you
the first person to say that. My dad was a DJ for parties, and he taught
Mhm.
me how to do that. And then he said, "Wow, you actually got more of a talk radio voice than a DJ voice." I was like, "Oh, that's nice." I just never got into broadcasting, and then when I did the podcasting thing, I was like, "Man, this is actually kind of easy and fun. I love it. I want to keep doing it."
Mhm. And big things I see big things happening for you because I mean the quality the quality that you put and the professionalism that you put in your show and hey you're also spreading your I mean there's a lot of shows that I see that you're on.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
I love doing this. I'm supposed to be on one later tonight too.
Mhm. Yep. And okay, now what was the most what was your best game that you can remember, comeback game that the Lions had?
Well, there's been a lot of them. I mean,
Right.
you got the Houston Oilers game. What was that in 1983 when Billy Sims did the sidekick to the cornerback to get a first down? You got another one where what got us into the wild card playoff game, the game where I was at sitting 13 rows back watching with my dad and my uncle when Billy Sims flipped over the Tampa Bay D line to get into the wild card that year.
Wow.
I mean, there's just all sorts of great things you remember when you're there. And of course, the best thing I ever remember seeing was 1991 in person. The
Wow.
only great game that Barry
Mhm.
Sanders had in the playoffs versus at that point the hapless Troy Aikman ran Dallas Cowboys because we ran roughshod over them 31-6.
Right. And I remember it was a big thing because back then Dallas and Detroit was being they were being compared closely as being two young teams growing, and of course Dallas ended up after that year. They ended up going and winning the Super Bowl, where the Lions went ahead and tanked it. You know,
Uh,
at,
you
at,
know, as
at,
much as I hate to say it, people say that this player choke, that player choke. It's a team choke.
oh yeah,
No one player costs you a game.
true.
And it started way back before then. I mean,
Mm,
we've been to the playoffs 21 times with 4 championships in the history of the Lions, which started established in 1934, as it says right here.
mhm.
That being said, starting with their inaugural season, they
Right.
won their first world championship the first year they were in the league because the Portsmouth Spartans, let's face it, they were kind of abysmal and they didn't have a following to get the team to be cheered on
Hmm.
there. It was a small town.
Right. Okay. Um, One of the things that really changed after the 1991 season was they changed their offensive scheme because the system that took them to the NFC championship game was the run and shoot. Well, after of course, they ended up beating Dallas twice, once in the regular season
And then once in the
and in
playoffs,
the playoffs. But unfortunately,
we ran into that
they
team we couldn't beat even in the season.
true. I mean, if I remember correctly, that was the first game of the year and the last game of the year where Washington beat us twice.
And
After that,
and handedly. I mean, it wasn't
mhm,
just a little, oh, let's they won by a field goal, they won by a touchdown. No, it was 14 points or more
mhm,
every time. It was abysmal. And that started a run where we didn't win against Washington for years. And I was at the home game with Stafford, Johnson, and all them when we finally did beat Washington, and it was
Wow.
great to see. I think that was 2015.
Wow. Yep. You
You know,
know, we never beat Washington at RFK Stadium. Never.
no, we've never won there, and that streak has to end too.
Right. I
But
mean,
it won't be this year because we play them at home.
right. But and isn't it also another stadium now? I mean, they don't have RFK Stadium anymore too.
Yeah, it's FedEx Field now, isn't it, or
Yeah.
something
So
like that? Yeah,
yeah.
so
So we'll
it's a
we'll.
new it's a new experience.
Mhm. So
Let's
we
hope
just
it's a
got
new winning
yeah.
experience.
Now
But
I always thought they should have stuck with the run and shoot at least one more year. Seeing what they do.
yeah, they
I thought
had
they
the
could.
personnel for it. I mean, you had that three-headed monster at wide receiver of Moore, Perriman, and Morton was a rookie at the time.
Right.
I think. And then you had was it still David Sloan then, or was it the guy before him at that point?
I
It was the
think
guy
so.
before him. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was the guy before him. But he was a decent tight end.
Mhm.
That's what I'm getting at. You had a decent tight end. That run and shoot where they spread the field, and that's what made the O line play better for the running game because nobody knew where the attack was coming from, which opened up the holes for Barry. Because that particular year,
Mhm.
he wasn't tackled for loss a lot.
Right.
It was when they changed to a more of a almost a West Coast the way they did it. It wasn't quite the Bill Walsh West Coast because it didn't work,
Right.
but it was that style where you run, play action, and then do a lot of crossing routes. I mean, granted, we still had some great years with that three-headed monster at wide receiver, and lo and behold, they were with God bless America. I got to say it, Scotty Mitchell.
Oh, I know. And one of the reasons for trying Scotty Mitchell was because he only had, and it was one game that he had where where Dan Marino got hurt,
He
and
came
they
in and
like,
lit up that team. I
yeah,
mean, I think he threw for what was it, 420 yards, which was
mhm.
unheard of in that time.
And
And that was
because
when they didn't have wide receivers.
right, and they liked his quick release. That
Yeah.
was what was really.
So we pulled the trigger, we threw up
Mhm.
some draft capital, and we got Scotty Mitchell.
Oh God. Oh God. And
And
oh,
the playoffs were history from that point
mhm.
on. I
Yeah.
mean, pretty much. I mean,
Well,
12 times we made the playoffs since the merger of 1970
mhm.
and one win.
Yeah, that's just
That's 1 in 12
horrible.
people. 1 in
Oh,
12. 1 in 12. And I don't care who your great player is, and this is the problem with a lot of fans. They become fans of the players and not so
mhm.
much the team. Uh, I've always been a team first guy. I think it's
Right.
because I played sports. It's team before there's no I in team, so therefore it's team before individual.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there were some guys I loved. I grew guilty of it over the years too.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I never quit loving the team just because one guy left.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's, I mean, that's one thing when Stafford left, I mean, I was for him winning the Super Bowl, but as far as being a LA fan, I'm not an LA fan. I'm a Lions fan.
No,
So
I am a Detroit Lions
mhm.
fan. There is no Detroit Rams.
Exactly.
That's a fictional team.
Exactly.
They didn't have a Super Bowl parade down Woodward. So
Nope.
therefore we don't get to celebrate that win. Yes, we get to celebrate the fact our player got one,
Mhm.
but we've had lots of players get them that's left this team and nobody talks about that.
Exactly. Exactly. And with all Stafford's skills and stuff like that, he couldn't lead us to a victory. And I mean, there was some where I know due to the bad calls and stuff like that, that he probably should have had a playoff win.
Well, there was a
But
lot more to it than just the
mhm.
bad calls. I mean, it'd be different.
True.
It'd be different if we'd have stayed consistent with the run game that we started in the first half.
Yeah.
That third quarter, uh, they ran the ball. The first play was Zach Zenner because
Hmm.
Bell and Bush were hurt. So here we are with this rookie that nobody knows anything about that has 69 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first. He had his first touch of the ball on the first play, gets him 8 yards, and then you don't run him anymore. or when you do run them, it's on third and short situations, which everybody makes it. And when you do convert it, it's a holding penalty. And they
Right.
were legit holding penalties.
Mhm.
There was two on Calvin Johnson. There was one on Riley Reef. There was one on the other right tackle at the time. I think that was at the end of Stalker McDougal or whoever was there at the time.
Right.
The center, Travis Swanson, committed an egregious hold where he almost got the guy's face mask because he grabbed him by up by the collar and just threw him down. I mean, there were six of them in that
Mhm.
second half. There was there was only two penalties called, and they were both on Dallas in the first half. And
Right.
then we have six offensive penalties in the second half of the game. I mean, those were the bigger problems
Mhm.
than even the whole game was.
Right. And one of the things that Jim used to say is silver shoot yourself in the foot offense.
Yes,
And
because
that's
you go away from the run, you go pass happy,
mhm.
then all everybody has to do is rush five and send everybody else out in coverage. Double this guy and single cover everybody else.
Right.
And that's what that was. And that's what we stopped seeing after week 9 last year, which is
Mhm.
what that's when I really became a fan of the Dan Campbell era. Because all of a sudden, we've got a hurt quarterback playing because TJ Watt made him look like a China doll when he hit him. And that's what stretched his obliques out.
Right.
Next thing you know, he can barely throw the ball 10 yards. Everybody's complaining, oh, he's got a noodle arm, blah, 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 but not even paying attention to statistics of his good year at all. He didn't throw an interception. He didn't fumble the ball. I think he was sacked, what was it, 4 times in that game total?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he was playing hurt. And had our kicker, the big burrito, been able to hit a 35-yard field goal, we
Right.
never would have
Oh.
went to overtime.
Yeah, I know. And that's one of the things that used to be the strength of the Lions.
Oh, God, don't
I
remind me.
mean,
We've had some great ones. I mean,
mhm.
Eddie Murray, as much
Mhm.
as I hated him for missing that field goal in '84,
Right.
I loved him. He was one of our longest tenured kicker. He was our most accurate. He was hitting bombs. I think his career long was what, 57 yards?
Yeah.
Jason Hansen comes in. He starts hitting 60
Mhm.
yarders. And then we get blessed with Matt Prater, who sets a record with the team.
Mhm.
I mean, granted, that record got broken by a team that played us last year.
That was
God,
I
the
I don't
kick
know.
was amazing. And the fact
Yeah,
it
right.
bounced in, I hit the crossbar. I was like, yeah, we're going to win. Oh my God, it went
What
through.
the hell? Yeah. What the hell just happened? I mean, it's like, oh my, and
And I
there's
wrote
ju
an article about that. I don't know if you
mhm.
remember that. I posted it, because I did my very first editorial after that game. And I said, the kick that never should have happened. I said, kudos to Justin Tucker for hitting a record breaking 66-yard field goal, but it never should have happened.
Right.
Because when you rewatch that play before, the stop clock play, the clock
Mhm.
is running, people. If the play is on a stop clock play where the penalty is committed, there's a
Mhm.
10-second runoff when you have no timeouts. There's a reason they had to clock that ball.
Yep.
The clock was running. Therefore, it's a 10-second runoff, as we saw when they called for a review of the touchdown that was called on the play. The touchdown
Mhm.
gets reversed, and a 10-second runoff cost us the game against Atlanta, but his ball broke the plane before his knee touched. But
Right.
that's another story.
You
But
know,
when we've had
I lost I lost your audio. Oh. Okay, well, it looks like Jeremy's
Tim,
having some
there
okay.
it goes.
Yep.
I lost my signal for a second.
Mhm.
Okay, there. So that being said, the first time we played the Ravens when Justin Tucker was a rookie,
Mhm.
he hit a career long 61-yard field goal after a bogus penalty. And
Right.
it was the same exact ref crew in that game that was in the Baltimore game last year.
Yeah. Well, speaking I mean, not last year's um Monday night game against Green Bay, but the previous Monday night game against Green Bay.
2019.
Yeah.
2020 was abysmal.
Right.
2019 to 2020 season.
Right.
You
Well.
had right after the debacle where Patrick Mahomes doesn't the defense finally looked like the bend don't break defense.
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't throw a passing touchdown. And we got him at the 45-yard line on 4th and 12, I think it was, because he was sacked by, of all people, Trey Flowers.
Mhm.
And Tracy Walker comes through on the free safety blitz. He gets through the line. He gets pushed by an offensive lineman. His hand grazes Mahomes' chest. The flag comes out for a late hit on an incomplete pass.
I mean, yeah, and it's
You
stuff like that.
you can't
More.
write that stuff. And then 2
No.
weeks later, grabbing a guy here is hands to the face.
Mhm.
We saw
Yeah.
it 2 plays in a row.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. And there was actually, I think, like 4 bad calls in that game.
But those 2 were the
Again,
worst because that's
right.
what set up the game-winning score.
Mhm. And they only beat us by 1 point.
Yeah.
And I will never, I don't care how hard the Green Bay Packer fans argue, I will never give them credit for that win. Yeah, they got the artificial win given to them by the refs because there was 4 plays that it took them to beat the Lions by 1 point.
All you Packer fans out there, I really hope Aaron Rodgers comes out of the closet and finally marries Clete Blakeman so he can never call a Packer game.
Oh shoot! Well,
I had to go there.
yeah, I actually heard you say that on your previous on your Man Cave podcast. I was watching that earlier this morning when I sent you that link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that, sure. I was doing stuff like 3 in the morning. I maybe had like 1 hour sleep today.
I fell asleep about 5 and didn't wake up till 11, so I had
I
a
don't
little
blame.
rest. A little rest. I just
Mhm.
couldn't sleep last night. I don't know what it was. I wish you'd have messaged me. Might have answered.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to because I mean I know my sleeping schedule. I didn't know yours, and I did know that this was like your only day off and stuff like that. So I
I only
really,
get 1 day off a week
Mhm.
unless I get a vacation, which I had one last weekend. Not so much this weekend.
Yeah, and I know how that goes. Believe me, I know how
I
that
know
goes.
you work a lot. That's why we don't get
Mhm.
to do this a lot.
Right, and being second shift and stuff like that. But okay, so what's your outlook for this season?
I kind of agree with the NFL Network. The Lions could be the surprise team in the North,
Mhm.
despite a 3-13-1 record. We were only blowed out 5 times, so that means there was only 5 definite losses. When you're saying blowed out, just for the people that don't understand what a blowout is, that's 10 plus points.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. It's 2 scores or more. That's considered a blowout in the NFL because most teams don't allow that to happen anymore.
Right.
That being said, we had 5 games where we were in so close they were decided by less than a field goal.
Right.
And then we had the 3 wins. Then we had
Mhm.
the tie. It doesn't look that bad because that's a possibility of 9 wins right there that we had if we had better play calling.
Mhm. True. And
So I've raised my floor. My floor
Mhm.
is 7 wins. I forgot about the tie. I said they will get double the win total. So 7 is the floor. But that's if they're staying healthy and everything's going right. A minimum of 7 wins. And I could see it being as many as 10. And I'll tell you how we get to 10. It's the same
Okay.
way we got to 3 last year. We have a better pass rushing crew.
Mhm.
The Thursday before that Green Bay game to end the season, they said, "Oh, we're going to play our starters for the whole game." And we all said, "Man, that's kind of stupid. They're not going to do that." Well, they couldn't do that. Rodgers was sacked 4 times in the first half and hit with legit QB hits, no late
Mhm.
hits, 8 times. They said, "God, we got to get him out of here. He's going to die."
Right. Yep.
2 was by our sack leader, Charles Harris.
Mhm.
1, I think, was by Julian, or was it Levi? I think it was Levi.
Levi. Yeah, I
And then
think so.
Aleem McNeil, for the D tackle up the middle, got 1.
Mhm.
And then the hits were coming from everywhere. Even as much as I hate him, Annalise got in there and got one. He just sort of slid through. That's just kidding.
Okay.
Once I
Oh
make that
man.
reference, I got to do one pun. It's got to
Uh,
be there.
okay, well, of course, we were talking about how Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
well,
He's benefited a lot by some questionable calls in the past,
yep,
and not just against the Lions.
right.
And then he got to have the bitter taste of that the following week on a bad call that was missed. Remember
Mhm.
that? Because they lost the next week.
Yeah,
And we
and
all got to see that game because it was a primetime game and
mhm.
it was glorious. But anyway,
Re- and going back, remember, and this is how uh, much the Green Bay Packers are babied, okay, in a way, uh, because way back when they lost to Seattle and we had the replacement refs, the refs were on strike and stuff like that, or locked out, or whatever it was. There was a bad call made against, or a non-call made, which involved Golden Tate when he was with Seattle, and Green Bay lost that game. The very next week, the NFL settled with the refs and brought
hmm
back the regular refs.
right, because they couldn't handle that anymore in the playoffs
Mm-hmm.
because that was a
Yep.
playoff thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, and Green. I mean, I know as we're both connected to Detroit Lions on the prowl, and as we know, Val, she'll complain about the refs and how they call, favor Green Bay against the Bears and all the other stuff too. So we know they're kind of, I kind of call them the darlings of the NFL because it's good for some reason for the Packers to win, the image of them being the smaller market team and stuff like that. And who the hell cares? I mean, to me, in order to actually win the game,
Oh, we're talking
you
Packers. Never mind. I'll
yeah.
wake up. Just kidding.
In order to win the game, you got to win without that handicap. And to me, it's anytime you get a win via a bad call, and I'm not saying refs cannot make mistakes, but
100 over the from 2018
right.
to 2020 with 250 now 276 games played a year. 192 bad calls. That's a 30-year games
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
over a 3-year span.
and that's just outrageous.
And that wasn't even the replacement refs. The
Mm-hmm.
replacement refs was back in 2016.
Right.
We're talking with the guys they pay. Granted, it's part-time pay. Maybe they should pay them as though it's a full-time job, so they'll take it seriously. Because I think that might be part of it. Who knows?
But
But it's ridiculous.
maybe they should hold them accountable
Oh,
more. And
NBA does.
that yeah, and another thing is, why is it that you find your owners, you find your players if you go ahead and you speak out against the refs? You know,
Because it's conduct unbecoming the shield. It's in the CBA.
yeah. But that's all bullshit.
But
I
when
mean,
they do screw up, they can call you on Tuesday. Said, "Well, we're not going to change the record, but hey, we're sorry."
right, and for that, did Dan Campbell ever get the official policy apology
He
for
said
that?
it took him till Tuesday. He
Yeah.
goes, he said on that, after the game presser, he said, "I'll get the call on Monday." It came
Hmm.
Tuesday, and he said that. Well, he goes, "Well, it didn't come Monday, but it did come Tuesday." And I said, "Are you changing the record?" He said, "No," and I said, "Thank you. Have a good day."
Right, and I mean, Jim Ressa. So I mean, whenever he figured his wins and losses for the season, he always would automatically take away 2 games because of what he felt the refs would screw us out of.
Well, in that 2019 year,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a total of 4 games the Lions got
Right.
screwed out of.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Chiefs game. You
Yep.
had Think about this. If those calls didn't happen in that game and those calls didn't happen in that game, the Lions are sitting at
Right.
3-1.
Mm-hmm. And you know that Chiefs game, it was weird because I'll tell you, I was watching that game and I seen Patrick Mahone look at the ref, nod his head, and shortly right after that,
Was
that
that?
call game. I mean that bad call came. I mean
Yeah.
it was, and it. I mean, and
I
this
could
is no
see
lie.
if he lunged at him and then he was
Hmm.
pushed and he still hit him with some force, but he
Right.
literally fell and it was like his glove just said, "Hey, Patrick, how you doing?"
Exactly. Exactly. And, I mean, it was like I thought, and I know I wasn't imagining this,
Almost as
on
bad as Tracy Walker's sack on Kirk Cousins when they won the first game
oh my God, yeah.
with the forced fumble and the recovery in the end zone that would have
Hmm.
won it for the Lions.
Right.
Oh, let's just ignore that it happens all the time. There's your two
Hmm.
games. Ravens game and the first game against Minnesota.
Right. Okay. Now, another question for you is how far do you think, and I'm not talking about just this year, with the right people around him, how far do you think Jared Goff can take this team?
Well, he took a team that wasn't built as good as the Rams were last year to a Super Bowl,
Hmm.
and the whole team shit the bed. You can say it was Jared Goff, but God, Gurley had 39 yards in the first quarter before he got hurt. CJ Anderson only got like 8 yards and he got hurt. I mean, it was a total rushing of 59 yards for the game. You can't beat anybody rushing 59 yards unless you're throwing for 600.
Right. And that's true. I mean, it's
We've seen that
this
for
is a
years because we haven't had a 100-yard rusher other than Reggie
mhm,
Bush, on Johnson, and DeAndre Swift over the last 20 years.
right.
I mean, we had some flashes of people that looked like they were going to be good, but
Hmm.
they got hurt.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
then Reggie Bush was only really good for one season, and then after that,
he was hit or miss.
he's yep.
And
And
that was the Kardashian effect because that
mm,
was the year we went to the playoffs against the Saints when he had his big year. The following year, he had 800 yards and missed 2 games. The next year, he had 700 yards and missed 4 games.
right.
He never hit 1,000 yards again.
Hmm.
And he started dating the Kardashian at that playoff game. The
Shoot.
Kardashian effect on athletes is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lamar Odom, great player, does great, getting championships with the LA Lakers, starts dating a Kardashian. Next thing you know, he's out of the league.
Hmm.
There's
Okay.
something to it.
Now, uh, do you think that there should be a separate salary cap for the quarterbacks, like some people do?
No, because the salary cap's going up every year.
Hmm.
So if the salary cap goes up, that means the wages of the vets go up. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yep.
What I'm saying, if you look at the way this team's built, other than having a bell cow back like Gurley, we actually have a more talented running back room than they had as a whole.
Hmm.
And there's no reason why this team could not somehow muster it together. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying there's a possibility this could be that level of good. Maybe not as many yards passing as Jared Goff had that year, because with the amount of running we'll be doing, he'll be passing less.
Right. And having
So
that
it could be that if everything goes right, they stay healthy and ram it down people's throat. It could be that 10 to
plus.
12 win season.
Hmm. Yeah, because the most games I've ever seen the Lions play or win in a season, of course, was a 12-4 season. And
91.
before, yep, 91. Yep, and of course, with that with the one and only playoff game since the Super Bowl era. You know.
And the one and only playoff game where Barry Sanders had a good game.
Hmm. Yep.
And that's where I was going. They talk about They blame Matthew Stafford when he had a bad game in the playoffs. They blame Calvin Johnson when he had bad games in the playoffs. They blame this guy or this guy.
Mhm.
But nobody says one bad word that the only good playoff game Barry Sanders had was his first one.
Right.
I'm the one that brings that up all the time. I'm going to
Mhm.
say, if you're going to talk hate about the greats that have played in Detroit, then you have to talk hate about
Yeah.
that one too. I mean, let's face it, he choked in the playoffs.
Mhm. And it one of the
And
things
I
that
hate saying it,
really,
but
yeah,
it's the truth.
yeah, right. And it was definitely like, not only him but the whole team. Definitely I mean, it was like you got excited. You got, they got you outside. You get into playoffs, and it's like
Screw
they
the
get
poop.
slaughtered. Yeah, I mean, it
I mean,
was,
the
and then
defense
the net.
let us
Yeah.
down in New Orleans with Matt Stafford. I mean,
Mhm.
he put up 28 points. He physically put up
Mhm.
28 points. He rushed one in and threw for 3.
Right.
Yes, he had 2 picks in the game in the third quarter, but neither one of those turnovers led to point scoring drives. So the defense gave up 100% of the 42 points that were scored against us.
Yep. And before that, before that game, the defense was doing good.
Yeah, they were
You know,
decent. They were decent. They
yeah,
were top
right.
13. They were top
Mhm.
15, which with a big arm like that, if we'd have had a couple more weapons healthy around Calvin Johnson and actually spread the ball, which
Right.
nobody knew how to do, not even Scott Linehan, who is
Mhm.
by far the best offensive coordinator we had because he did more with less.
Mhm.
Why they let him go, I don't know. I didn't like it because then we got stuck with Joe Lombardi.
God.
The
Yeah.
ghost of Lombardi still screwing the Lions from the grave.
Exactly. Exactly. It's you bring in you bring in
I try to make it fun because I don't know
oh,
how else to say it.
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to be throwing crap.
Yeah.
And I don't want
So
to be that guy. I like to be professional, so I'd rather make it funny.
if you could add one more player that would make a difference this year's, what position would it be to the Lions? One more. Would it be
If
defense or
there's a
offense?
good one out there, it would be defense. It would be middle linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
That is our most glaring hole,
Yeah.
talent wise, from top to bottom. It's the
Mm-hmm.
thinnest position on the roster. Outside linebacker, we got those for days because they're going to switch out the DNs and everything else. We got that. We got the edges covered. It's the middle of the field. That or a
Mm-hmm.
strong safety, but there isn't that stud strong safety out there anymore.
Right. But yeah, as far as, isn't Malcolm Rodriguez going to be the savior?
He could be.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
sixth round pick.
I know.
I love the kid. I love everything I hear from him. I love what I'm hearing out of camp. But guess what? He was a sixth round pick for a
Right.
reason.
True.
Same with
True.
James, the problem Houston, who's nursing an injury, just like Josh Pascal, just like
Wow.
James Mitchell, just like Jamison Williams.
And that's one thing that really bugs me. And even with getting Jameson Williams, I mean, God, what if he's never the same?
Oh, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I, I've done a lot of studying and listening to sports doctors. He'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what do you think, his timeline is going to be for
I'm
like,
saying week 5 or 6. That's when he'll
okay.
come back. He's gonna start out on the pup list. I could care less if he gets healthy by week 1. I wouldn't start him.
Mm-hmm.
I'd let him sit there and work with the team, work in the weight room, do all that stuff, bulk up a little bit, hit the cafeteria, get your triple plate of spaghetti, put on some weight, kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was clocked twice at Georgia his senior year. Once it was 4.21, the other one was 4.27.
Wow.
So that is Tyreek Hill, John Ross. So if Tyreek Hill is the cheetah, he's the jaguar.
Exactly.
Because the
Exactly.
jaguar is another name for the cheetah.
True.
But the
True.
jaguar is the one that turns black.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. They say it.
Okay.
They say and it's not a leopard; it's a jaguar. There's a difference.
Wow. Okay, so hmm, you got any questions for me?
Yeah, I mean, look at the way they built the roster. You look at the
Mm-hmm.
2018 wide receiver core. You had Brandon Cooks, Josh Reynolds, Robert Woods, and then whoever was behind them. I mean, because you didn't really hear about anybody else, right?
Right. Yep.
They had Gerald Everett, the tight end, who has never been ranked in the top 10 ever. We got TJ Hawkinson, so that's an upgrade, right?
Right.
They had a top 5 O line.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a top 5 O line. They had Todd Gurley and whoever ran behind him because, CJ Anderson was pretty good for the 2
Mm-hmm.
games he had to start, but for the most part, did nothing all season. It was all Todd Gurley, right? If we can split the carries right, and you have Swift and Williams with 500 rushing apiece and about anywhere from 3 to 500 yards receiving apiece, and add in just a second. It's my family leaving. I'm staying
Yeah.
at my kid's house, so I decided to do it outside because the grandkids and their friends are there, and it
Mm-hmm.
would be ultra annoying. But that's another story. um, the running back room is way more talented from top to bottom here than it was overall. Is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You got Kabinda, then you got Gilbert Griffin once he comes back, who can also play fullback or halfback.
Right.
You also got Brock Wright. We brought in Devin Funchess, the tight end / wide receiver, who actually was a willing blocker as a running back and also as a tight end when he was his freshman year
Right.
in the run game. He was a willing blocker. Then he just didn't do so well in pass protection. That's why they made him a wide receiver because he was light. But he's put that 10 to 15 pounds on. If he maintains that in his speed, which isn't great, but for a tight end, it's pretty good. He might be able to help us stretch the field and keep people off of TJ.
True. True.
And then you got Jared Goff, the guy that was the quarterback of that offense. And now, granted, Todd McVay, I don't know what his problem is. I don't want to get into that. I mean, I'd probably be angry if somebody wanted to screw my girlfriend too, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd probably want that guy gone after I heard about it too. That being
True.
said, if Goff is 80% of what he was that season, the Lions will be very successful. Because 80% of that season is better than the number 10 ranked statistic quarterback last season.
Wow.
Food for thought, guys. Because
Mm-hmm.
he threw 41 touchdowns. He also had his most interceptions. Guess who he matched? If you put those stats over each other, side by side, it would look just like Stafford's best year when when we lost to the Saints.
So I mean
41
this.
touchdowns, 19
Mhm.
interceptions, a couple of fumbles lost due to sacks. It just is what it is.
So basically, Goff could be that man. Goff could.
He could. Because here's the thing, and I've heard other people talk about it. When guys get their confidence, their mojo back,
Mhm. Yep.
it just doesn't come back. It comes back tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying he looks as confident as he ever has, blah, blah, blah. And yes, it could be coach speak.
Right.
But until you watch Jared Goff in the presser and you visibly see that confidence
Right.
in the way he's talking, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling for a playoff win. I'm not doing it. I can't do it yet. Until I see it on the field, I won't do it.
Yeah.
Could we make the playoffs? It's a damn good possibility. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Now, how much of that not call because being the being
No, it's because I
knowing how
became
to
a realist and I put
Mhm.
too much hope into the Lions to have them fail.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm the realist in me is saying it could be 7 wins. And let's say they catch fire, stay healthy all season. The O line's opening up holes that they could drive a semi through, and the
Right.
running room. And Jared Goff still only has 3,000 yards passing because he doesn't have to pass.
Right. And shoot, the less he has to pass, that, that
That's
means our running backs are doing their jobs.
fantastic, right?
Yeah, exactly. So and
And I want to clarify because there was a guy that was watching me the other day,
Mhm.
and he came in and heard part of the conversation. I said I wish they'd take a page out of college ball and the old school football and do the three-headed monster on third and short every now and then with the full house formation,
Mhm.
because you would not know where that ball was going to, whether it was going to Swift, Williams, or Netflix.
True. True. And that won't be something that would be that you wouldn't think of. And you do know, I mean, one thing Dan Campbell did last year was he went ahead and he pulled out all the stops to win games.
He dug deep in the playbook
Oh yeah.
on stuff that we hadn't seen.
Mhm.
I mean, the double reverse flea flicker,
Yep.
the flea flicker where the wide receiver throws the pass.
Mhm.
Who the fuck does that?
Right. Right.
Dan Campbell, that's who.
Mhm.
And to all those Pack-Tard fans that says, "Oh, Dan Campbell can't call plays," he called enough plays to beat your ass in Week 18.
True. True.
Sorry, you got to grab my pop and a smoke.
Okay. All right.
There we go. I had it out here. I just didn't
Mhm.
grab it.
So do you think I mean right now we got a 17 game season. Do you think it will ever be an 18 game season?
There's been talk about it. I don't think it would, because then you got to lower it to 2 preseason games.
Mhm.
And I don't think the 3 preseason games is working, because we saw a lot more injuries last year than we have seen in the previous years by teams that normally don't get injured
Right.
a lot. That being said, a lot of it has to do with strength and conditioning coaches.
Mhm.
18 teams changed strength and conditioning coaches last year. All of them struggled
Right.
with the most injuries.
Yeah. Now, now another thing that really happened, you know, that had been going on for the last couple of years is we did have COVID. You know, I mean, I know that like the year before they didn't even have a preseason.
That is why that season right there,
Mhm.
no off season, no OTAs, no
Right.
preseason, straight to the regular season. In the third quarter of the first game, your cornerback one goes out. You take a rookie and go, here you go on an island, cover the best wide receivers in the league. Have fun.
Right.
With no coaching, no game plan, had the game book, but no explanation of what this is, because it changes from college to pro.
True.
That is why a cornerback is one of the hardest positions to transition into the NFL.
Yeah.
You hardly ever see a rookie cornerback have a stellar year.
Yeah.
They
Now,
have
now,
good years, but not stellar.
now there's a lot of people that's saying that Okuda's a bust. What's your take on that? I mean,
That's exactly why I said that. You know
mhm.
what I consider the 2009 or 20 COVID season for Jeff Okuda? That was his 5th year of college,
Mhm.
because he might as well have been playing college as little as he was coached.
Right.
He didn't get any NFL coaching. And thank God we didn't have Pascaloni, because it'd have been less.
Right.
But I mean, Corey Unlin was a secondary coach, but he was given his first defensive coordinator job under a coach who was on the hot seat since the offseason, when the previous owner, Martha, put out the letter.
Mhm.
And the one thing I can say is Sheila did stay true to her mother's words. As soon as we are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, they will be fired.
Yep.
Lo and behold, even though it was as slim a chance as it gets, there was a chance that if the Lions beat the Texans on Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
they had to win out, and 4 teams had to lose twice, and
Right.
they got into the playoffs. As soon as we lost that game, I seen a picture from one of the sports journalists that were doing
Mhm.
the photos, And it showed Sheila Ford with her hands in her head, crying after the game,
Yep.
and Bob Quinn looked scared. I mean, literally, you could just see him go.
Yeah.
And we didn't hear from him for 6 months.
Nope.
You didn't see him on the news. He didn't do interviews, nothing. The great part about it is I said, you know what? She went Kill Bill on him, and his head is mounted in her office saying, this is what failure looks like.
Yep. Now, Bob Quinn was actually suggested to Martha.
Yeah, by the
I
NFL competition board.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
and
And
you
she
know,
didn't hire a firm. She went to the NFL competition board and says, I'm tired of losing. Who should I
mhm,
get for GM?
and they just kind of.
And as bad as Bob Quinn was at
Mhm,
everything else, he was great at assessing O line talent.
yeah.
You can say what you want,
Mhm,
but he got 60% of that O line in the positions they are naturally at by drafting them.
right. Now, one of the questions we had on Free for All Friday was, who was worse, Bob Quinn or Matt Patricia? Who,
Oh, God. Well, because we saw the way the talent played on the field, it's kind of both.
mhm.
It is no longer Quinn Trisha. It's not Patricia. It's not Quinn. It's the Quinn Trasha era.
Oh God, yeah. Thank God they're both gone. I mean,
I feel sorry for the Patriots because their
mhm,
offensive coordinator is Matt Patricia. I said, wait, offensive coordinator? All I heard is
mhm,
he's this defensive guru. Now he's an offensive coordinator back with Bill? Oh, that's because Bill was the defensive guru and
yeah.
he was just the pencil holder.
Okay, we're having technical difficulties again with the internet. Uh, but I do want to thank Jeremy for being here.
I lost my Wi Fi again.
Yeah, I know.
Urgh. I said, with him being the offensive coordinator, do you see them being successful?
No, I don't. No, I don't. The only way that I would see that, and I know that the Wi-Fi is acting up again, but the only way I
Yeah.
would see them being successful is if Fatty Matty leaves.
I
Because
I I I had the feeling we're probably seeing one of the last years of Bill.
mhm,
I hate to say it. I mean,
yeah. And the
picking the
Brady,
guard from Chattanooga State in the first
yeah,
round.
mhm. But one of the reasons the Patriots were so over the years where could afford the people was because they got the Brady discount. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean
Brady,
Brady was okay. The out of the last 10 years, the
mhm,
quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl,
right,
it's been Brady on a team discount
mhm,
at under market value or a rookie contract.
yep,
It has not been one single big market contract QB until Stafford.
right,
Stafford was the only big market QB, and he was only a big market QB for one day, everybody, or
yep,
2 weeks. No, one day in his career, but because he got that big contract where he was the highest paid QB, and 2 weeks later, Minnesota says, "Hold my beer," and signs Kirk Cousins to more.
exactly, yep,
So everybody says, "Oh, he's the highest paid QB." I know. He restructured. I think it was year 2, and then
mhm,
restructured again in year 5 of that contract or year 4.
right. Oh, well, Lion fans, as you can see, we are having trouble with internet and stuff like that with Wi-Fi. I do want to thank everybody who listened. I'm sorry. I have not been watching the comments. I haven't seen any. I do apologize. And unfortunately, I cannot see the. If you're watching on Facebook, I cannot see the comments on Facebook. So unless you the allow StreamYard to let me see them, but for some reason I just can't see them at all. All right. Well, I'm gonna end the show. I really wanted to thank Jeremy for coming. I do apologize to him, and I also apologize to you guys for me getting the time wrong. I do remember now that I it was supposed to be at noon, but I was thinking with Detroit Lions on the prowl, we did it at 11, so I messed up, and I take full blame for that. Um, Thanks again, Jeremy. And really, check out his channel, Smoking Jeremy, Kneecap Biting. Also, go ahead and check out Detroit Lions on the Prowl. Uh, Subscribe. Anybody on the DSA, check out Micro Mike. Check out Luke G Field Report. Okay, Jeremy's back. Okay,
Yep.
that darn
Hello.
Wi-Fi.
No,
Yep.
I'm in.
Okay, yep.
Okay. Oh, you got it on solo view. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. Well, it just went
It
to
it
that
went that
after.
way. Yeah, after I jumped out.
Yeah, right.
I got my
Yeah,
camera off right now because I had to
I
move
understand.
completely to get closer. I was just trying to keep it quiet for us so we could actually concentrate.
Mm-hmm. It was working.
Yeah. What I was saying is, Jared Goff is an under market value quarterback right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh shoot.
I'm in the
I,
show. You can hear me. That's good enough. I got my camera off right now, anyways.
yep. But man, I love that logo.
I do too. I was like, wow, when I got my goatee, it kind of resembles me as well as Dan Campbell, so it works.
True.
I'm gonna get me some t-shirts made and start doing that. Yeah, I got to get some other forms of income coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of my fans watch this show and you want to get a t-shirt, let me know. I got a t-shirt guy and I can see about how much it'll be for me to get some stock with them.
Yeah. And I actually want to talk to you about getting my logo on, and maybe we can collaborate on stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And when you do your streams for the show for the games, I
Yeah.
want to be on there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna limit it to 3 guests with me.
Okay.
Dom's probably going to be a regular because he's got
Mm-hmm.
a great voice too. I know you've heard Detroit Dom with me a few times.
Yep.
I think he'd be a great voice. And Eric Shawn, whose parents used to own all the radio stations and TV stations that the Lions
Right.
used to play on, he wants to be one. So you'll be the 4th.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
I mean, I might switch one person out a game here and there just to
Mm-hmm.
let somebody else have a shot. But for the most part, all the big games, you guys will be the guys.
Okay. Cool. And I do need I do need to get Eric Sean's uh friend request him yet because
Okay.
I
I'll send you a link
yeah.
to your profile so you can get to him.
Okay. Cool. That sounds great.
No
That sounds
problem.
great. Yeah, I know he asked me to, and then I was looking for him today, and I didn't find him.
Yeah,
So
well, because he's had a few different ones. He got kind of Facebook banned on one.
oh, okay.
So I'll send you the right one right to your messenger.
Okay, sounds great.
But it was a pleasure. Hey, guys, check out Maniac Tim Becker. Go to his channel. This is going to be fun. He's going to be a good guy. There's no one that loves the team as much as I do, as much as Tim does. I mean, we all say we love the team. Not a lot of people live and breathe the team the way we do.
Oh yeah.
And I tried not to put too much Kool-Aid in the cup for everybody. I just like to put enough in there that they come back wanting more.
Now I'm the opposite. I put a lot of Kool-Aid in.
Yes, you do.
I
Yes, you
know,
do.
and it but see, I
But
mean, there
I gave a nice big window of
mhm.
wins there because, like
Oh,
I
yeah,
said,
you
if
did.
everything goes all right and they're 10 to 12 isn't out of the question,
Right.
but 7 to 10 is where I realistically see him
Yeah.
being, and
Mhm.
that's take out 2 wins because Lions.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly, because but see, unfortunately, we can't, there's no way that the players can go ahead and get back at the referees for doing those bad calls because of course I mean we seen when wasn't Jamie Collins went ahead and touched that ref and he got ejected from the game. So but there's no way, and really the fans shouldn't be, or the players shouldn't be touching the refs anyway. But you know, refs needs to do a better job. But yeah, definitely. Thanks again, Jeremy, for being on the show. I appreciate it.
It
And
connected again. Hey, yeah.
yeah,
I thought it was gonna back out on me again. I was like, really? I'm sorry, Timmy, that I'm having all these Wi-Fi issues.
oh, it is what it is. I mean, heck, at least you got the time right where I got it wrong. you
Yeah,
know.
no. If you changed it and I didn't know, that's my fault.
Yeah. Well, I only told you one time, so which is so. I mean, I think what happened was, and I did apologize when you were out. I think that what happened was I was thinking Lions on the Prowl, and our show was always at
11. Yeah.
11. So that's where
Yeah, because
and
I
I was
set an alarm and all of a sudden I messaged you and I said, I seen it came on at 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, man, I was dead asleep.
yeah. Well, I had just because it was weird because I got up and it's I seen where it looked like you were posting something,
Hmm.
that man so that was the only I mean, you almost got the link but I didn't want to give you the link that early. You almost got the link at like 3:30 in the morning when I
Oh my.
created it. But I didn't want to do it that early. Then I had gotten up because I couldn't sleep. And I looked and I seen, it showed that you were on there, so I just sent the link, but I
So
just
my
sent
phone's
it.
always active and I just laid
Yeah.
it there. That's
Mhm.
the way I am. I just leave my phone alone when I'm sleeping, but
Right.
it's always active because I never turn the active status off.
Mhm.
If I have to do something where I can't be on it, you'll see where I go invisible, but you'll
Right.
get a message from me when I get a break.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That being said, I do plan on being at the home opener, not so much as at at the game as I'm going to be at the Eastern Market with the Blue Crew,
Okay.
and I'm going to be doing my podcast live there. Dom's already talking about coming. Mark Orum's going to come in,
Wow.
so it's going to be a fun show. I'm going to try to get Tej Washko, possibly Ron Crackman, Craciola, and maybe Lions Mane to be my
Mhm.
guests while we're down there too.
Yep. One of the things I want to create though, I want to create like a hall of fame for podcasters.
One of the first ones that should be Jim.
Okay. Yep. Definitely. Because I'll tell you, and I'm going to be doing a show, and I got to talk to the other crews from Lions on the Pro. I do want to do a show on the rise, you know, the rise of the Lions on the Pro and how they became what they are now. And of
Oh, it
course, a lot
started
of
with
that.
you and Jim. It
Yep.
started with you and Jim, and
Hmm.
it grew
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and I think they're doing a great job. I like what they do, but you know what? Just sometimes it's hard
Hmm. Yeah. It's not the
because
same without Jim.
I met Jim through my Motor City kneecap biting page,
Hmm.
where we actually finally talked
Yep.
on one of my video chats I did.
Hmm.
He came in. I think you were in that first one I did too. And we had like 8 guys in there, and it was great. It was just a nice little round table. I said, okay, I'm going to ask a question. We'll go around one at a time and talk about it. And it was a lot of fun.
Yep.
And And that's when he said, "Wow, I didn't realize you knew this much about football."
And I know at that time because we talked and he wanted to he wished there was more room to really add you,
Right. That he told
but
me that too.
yeah, and it was like, you know,
And then he helped find me a home
yeah, I did.
because we were on the Friday mashup that evening
Hmm.
after I did Detroit Lions on the Prowl, and I was at my mom's house, no Lions stuff on anywhere except on my back, kind of like now.
Hmm.
And we went on with Andrew and Logan. He goes, "Well, we were thinking about adding a third," and he goes, "That's the guy." He goes, "I think he'd make it great." And at that time they had 29 subscribers. They maybe got 5 views a show. By the end of the first season, they had 209
Wow.
subscribers.
Hmm.
I mean, and I'm not saying it's my fault. I am not saying that. I'm just saying the dynamic that was added and the way it went is why
Hmm.
we had a good chemistry, but the
Oh, you did.
chemistry started to fall apart there after a while.
Hmm.
You could see it. The guys looked like they were checking out. I looked like I was checking out, and I didn't like the look.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm going on my own.
Yep. Okay. Well, we're gonna end the show.
Absolutely, we can
Yeah,
still
because
talk after if we
oh
want.
oh yeah, we can. But it's been going on for almost an hour and a half now. So
Yeah, it's great.
yeah,
I
I
love
mean
it.
that's
I
great.
My shows go that long all the time.
Yeah, and I mean eventually I want to bring more guests in and stuff because what I want this show to be is I want it to be based on interviewing people because we do got a lot of already roundtable shows and stuff like that, telling evaluation shows, but I want to interview a lot of the people that's doing the podcasting and stuff like that, and I want to interview athletes too.
Oh yeah. Did you see the Motor City Lions talk when we had Stefan Logan and Matt Derry on there?
I didn't, unfortunately.
That was amazing talking to
Hmm.
Stefan Logan. He
Yeah.
is such a good guy. And Matt Derry's on there, who's a podcaster, and he's a
Hmm.
big Dunstall fan. And I sit there, I said, if it was me, I'd just restructure golf now, turn it into a under $20 million salary with the last 2 years voidable on a 6-year contract. That way you don't have to worry about it. You would make the dead cap so you can't restructure them for 2 or 3 years and run with it that way. And then maybe pick up a rookie quarterback in the first round later on at the end of the first round where nobody
Right.
expects him to be a starter right away or
Yeah.
even in the second round. He sat there and goes, "Screw Matt Dunstall. This guy's a genius." He goes,
Wow.
they need to talk to this guy. I just saying, I did it out down to the dollar, and I said there, I said,
Hmm.
you actually, if you do this, the incentives and the bonuses right, you could have him at a $16.5 million cap hit
Wow.
if he agreed to it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it could happen.
Yep. He does his that would be great because then
You'd
you
have a QB under market value for a while.
yep. Oh
I
wow.
like Goff, and I think he could be great. I'm 60-40 behind Goff now.
Okay.
The first part of the season, I was slowly becoming like 30-70 against Goff.
Hmm.
But when the play calling changed and I saw a different QB,
Yep.
I'm that's what raised me right back up to where I am a pseudo Goff supporter.
Hmm. Exactly. But once again, I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. Final thoughts, Jeremy?
Final thoughts is team before player.
Hmm.
My heart is in Detroit. I'm from Michigan. I was born and raised here. I fell in love with the colors at 5 years old and fell in love with the team about 13 and haven't wavered. I didn't switch teams. I didn't pick up a second team. We didn't make the playoffs. I didn't do all that bandwagony type stuff. and I never will. I'm ride or die.
True. Okay, and final thoughts from me is shoot. Detroit Lions fans really deserve to see them finally win a Super Bowl.
Oh,
So, and man, if I don't care who does it,
oh, dear
I
sweet
just.
baby Jesus.
But let's go Lions.
One pride.
One pride, and one team, one city. Go Lions.
Go Lions.
And thank you.